Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. Learn new words and phrases every day. Before you learn things like improving your English pronunciation and accent, you'll want to have a good grasp of the words and phrases used in daily conversations. After all, it's easier to figure out which aspects of your pronunciation can be improved if you know which words you need to practice saying aloud. Also, you can commit to learning more words every day as you practice your speaking skills. This allows you to kill two birds with one stone, achieve two goals by doing one thing. You can set a goal for the number of new words you want to learn daily. For example, you can learn 3 new words or 10 every day. Even if you only have time to learn 1 new word per day, that will still be 365 new words a year, assuming you commit to your goal every day. You can take note of your target number using your phone or share it with a learning partner who can help you check your progress. Subscribe to an online dictionary's Word of the Day section. Not sure which words you want to learn right now? You can look up English dictionaries online with the Word of the Day feature. Just sign up for their free subscription via email, and you can get these words delivered to your inbox every day. Pick up new words all around you. Go to an English-speaking area and listen discreetly, in a way you won't be noticed, to native conversations. Write down any words or phrases you don't understand and look them up later using your dictionary. Do the same with the English songs you hear on the radio. By learning new words in context, you'll be able to remember them more easily and grow your vocabulary more quickly. Learn words and phrases. For example, you refer to drinks as a glass of wine, a pint of beer, a cup of tea, a pot of coffee, etc. Again, learning words in context works much better for recall. Learn related words. For example, the moon has 4 phases every month: crescent, gibbous, waxing, and waning. It's more efficient to learn all 4 words at the same time. Improve your pronunciation using authentic English audio and videos. Even if you know a lot of words, you won't be understood if you don't pronounce them correctly. That's wasting the time spent remembering words, right? So you need to hear or watch English words and phrases as they're pronounced by native speakers. Some places where you can do this are online dictionaries. You'll notice that these dictionaries often have little speaker symbols next to the new words. Some of them, like the Cambridge Dictionary, even have different audio for US and UK pronunciations. Just click the speaker symbol, listen carefully, and imitate the way the audio pronounces the word. YouTube. Sometimes when you search for the pronunciation of a certain word online, the results will show YouTube videos. These often repeat the word slowly several times, which makes it easier for you to follow along. Podcasts. Podcasts like English Pronunciation Pod and American English Pronunciation can teach you the many aspects of American English pronunciation. If you're having trouble pronouncing whole words, you may want to work on pronouncing individual letters first. For example, when pronouncing English vowels, prepare your mouth for speaking by making the sounds of the vowels A, E, I, O, and U. Make a shape with your mouth as you make these sounds. Exaggerate the sounds and shapes. That is, Make them very large and very obvious. By practicing these basic sounds, it'll be easier to hear the difference between, for example, a cat and a cut. A cat can give you a cut, but a cut can never give you a cat. That's just silly. For consonants, pronunciation practice is a bit trickier and will require an entire post on its own. Luckily, we have a handy guide that covers how to pronounce consonants in English. Improvise conversations. Improvisation, or just improve, means making things up in the moment. Here are a few improvisation ideas you can do on your own. Choose an ordinary object, like a pen, and make up a story about it. Talk about how important it is to you, how it helped you find your long-lost sister, or how it saved your life. Be as creative as you want. Choose a letter of the alphabet and speak as long as you can while starting every sentence with this letter. Alternatively, start with the letter A and go through the alphabet as you speak. It's much harder than it sounds. Speak for 2 minutes. Set a timer to run for 2 minutes. Choose a random topic from places like conversation starters, prompts, or writing exercises. Then speak about that topic for the full 2 minutes without giving yourself time to think about it. The first minute might be hard, but by the second minute, you'll start to speak more confidently and comfortably. Try this as many times as it takes to get comfortable within the first minute. Practicing improve is a good way to get more comfortable speaking with others, since it teaches you to speak without preparation. Use tongue twisters. Tongue twisters are phrases and sentences that are difficult to say quickly. They're designed to test how fast you can say them before your tongue gets confused. But saying them slowly works too. It's an excellent way to work on your pronunciation and how clearly you speak. You can choose one of these English tongue twisters, making sure to correctly and clearly say every word. Once you're comfortable saying the words slowly, try to say them faster, gradually increasing your speed with each new repetition. Even if you get some words wrong, and believe me, even native English speakers struggle with tongue twisters sometimes, you'll at least have a good laugh about it. Learn the natural flow of English. Being able to say individual words correctly is great, but the secret to speaking English fluently lies in the flow of your sentences. Whenever you read a piece of poetry, listen to a melodic song, or watch a hilarious sitcom, pay attention to linking. Linking. Notice how native speakers link words together. This refers to joining two sounds, making a sound disappear, or changing a sound to make it flow better. Contractions. These are shortened forms of two words. For example, I plus am, I'm he plus will, he'll, they plus have, they've do plus not. Don't stress. Stress involves both stressed syllables in a word and stressed words in a sentence. Rhythm. Rhythm is the overall result of stress, contractions, and linking. It's the ups and downs or musical features of English. You can think of it as the speed and sound of your speech. Finding your perfect speaking rhythm can go a long way toward boosting your fluency. A good speaking pace is comfortable for both you and the listener. It keeps you focused and gives you enough time to think through what you want to say. Here's how you can improve the flow of your spoken English. Find a short paragraph or even just a sentence at your reading level. You can find lots of short reading passages for different levels online. Alternatively, open your favorite English book to a random page and choose a paragraph or two. Get a recorder or video camera. If your phone doesn't already have a recorder installed, you can download one for iOS or Android. Say the paragraph or sentence slowly, then again faster. Once you reach a speed that doesn't feel comfortable or is too fast, slow down. Repeat this a number of times, making sure to record what you say every time. Listen to the recordings. How do they sound? You should have felt a difference when you were speaking too. Speaking slowly helps you work on pronunciation and enunciation, how clearly you say things. Speaking fast helps you work on your fluency, since you're not worrying about every single word you say. Shadow English speech. Shadowing English basically involves listening to how a native speaker says something and copying it. Here are some ideas on how to shadow English. Pick your favorite video with subtitles. Make sure it's something you enjoy watching. This is important for the next step. Listen to it many times. Listen to the video once, then read the subtitles to get a good grasp of the general content and flow. Imitate the narrator sentence by sentence. Play, listen, pause, speak, and record. Optional. Copy the speech pattern as best as you can. With enough shadowing, you'll naturally get closer to sounding like a native speaker. Just make sure to pick videos with the same English accent you're trying to learn. You can find plenty of English videos with quality subtitles on platforms like Fluent. Think in English. When you're learning English and having a conversation with a native speaker, your natural tendency is to take what they say and translate it into your native language in your head. Mentally, create a response in your native language. Translate that response back into English. As you can imagine, this takes a lot of time. It also makes conversations feel slow or even frustrating, something that causes stress for the person you're talking to. On the other hand, if you practice thinking in English, it takes less time to come up with responses and engage in conversations. You don't have to take that extra step of translating to and from your native language. A good way to start thinking in English is to keep a diary for writing down your daily thoughts in English. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just want to practice getting your thoughts out in English as often as you can. Retell a story in English. For example, you can start with a familiar story from your culture. Your translation needs to convey not only the meaning of the words you use, but also as much cultural nuance, small differences in meaning, as you can pack into it. You can also choose a short story or fairy tale that mostly uses words you can understand. Then, you can record your retelling or ask a native English speaker to listen to you and give their thoughts. Sometimes you have words in your language that don't easily translate into English, and that's okay. You can try to explain it in another way, like how an untranslatable word would feel to a native English speaker. Use English pronunciation apps. If you've ever wondered whether there's an app to help you perfect your English pronunciation, the answer is yes. There are a lot of them. For example, Elsa Speak, available on iOS and Android, uses speech recognition technology to help you correct the way you say words in English. The lessons are arranged according to topics, e.g., travel, business, etc. If you're taking proficiency exams like the IELTS, this app can come in handy too. Participate in public speaking events. Big universities, theaters, and cultural societies often organize events like open debates, spoken word readings, improvised storytelling gatherings. These are places where you can mingle with like-minded people and practice speaking English. Many cities also host TED Talks, where you can register, participate, and share your innovative, new, or original ideas. Check the events page of your local university to see if there are any of these opportunities available. It might be a nerve-wracking experience, but it would be great for your English. But what if you don't feel confident speaking in English? Don't worry, all language learners deal with this at some point. One of the best ways to overcome a lack of confidence is to get out there and practice. The best way to do this is to try speaking in English with strangers. The following video has tips on avoiding mistakes when starting a conversation in English. Go to language cafes. If public speaking terrifies you, you can opt for language cafes instead. These are cafes that create a friendly and relaxing atmosphere for people who want to practice and exchange languages. You can usually find language cafes through local universities or meetup groups in your area. If nothing else, they're a great place to find friends with whom you can share your personal interests. Use formal or informal English appropriately. Depending on the context, you may have to use either formal or informal English. But how do you know which one to use? Often, it's a good idea to listen to how your conversation partner is talking. Notice your situation and environment. Try to match the type of English being used. For example, if you're in the office or at school talking to a boss or professor, it's safe to use formal English. If you're chatting over coffee with a friend in a cozy cafe, you're free to throw around all the slang you know. If you're only learning regular English, don't worry. Most of the time, standard English works perfectly well as a communication tool, no matter who you're speaking to. Be clear and to the point. Imagine hearing these two sentences out of the blue. Can you please elucidate to me what this means? Drink lots of dihydrogen monoxide every day. The first thing you'll probably think is, what on earth is this person talking about? What do elucidate and dihydrogen monoxide mean? Even if you know what those words mean, you'll probably still think that they could have just said, "Can you please explain to me what this means?" Drink lots of water every day. You may be tempted to use impressive-sounding words in everyday conversations, but unless there's no other way to express what you really mean, it's best to use the simplest words possible. Not only will you be better understood, but you're also less likely to come across as pretentious, someone who acts like they're better than they really are. But how do you know which words are the simplest for English speakers? That's where regularly listening to authentic conversations comes in. The more you listen to regular conversations by native speakers, the more you'll pick up patterns regarding the words they use to make themselves understood. Ask questions. Communication works both ways. To make sure your listener is engaged, interested in what you have to say, and understands you, ask questions. The questions can be about anything you want to know more about. If it's your first time meeting someone, "What's your name?" is always a good conversation starter. You can also use other ways to introduce yourself in English. Ask questions whenever the other person stops and there's something you want to know more about. For example, if you see your friend with a good-looking car, you can say something like, "Wow, that's a nice car. What make and model is it?" The compliment plus question formula works like a charm. Whenever you don't understand what the other person says, just say it back to the speaker in your own words. This will give them a chance to correct whatever you didn't understand or confirm that you heard it right. You can use these phrases before the information. "I want to make sure I got that right, so let me get this straight." You mean, "If I'm understanding you correctly, just to make sure I've got it right," you mean, "Are you saying that? When you said bow, did you mean, I'm not quite sure I'm following. Did you say, if you're worried that this makes you look slow or rude, has no manners, don't fret." Most people will be perfectly understanding of the fact that English isn't your first language. They'd rather repeat themselves than have any misunderstandings. Use filler phrases. Filler phrases are phrases that act as placeholders in a sentence. They fill silences so that your speech isn't interrupted and give you a little time to think of what to say. Some examples of filler phrases are, you know. Actually, to be honest, I mean, well, so, anyway. You'll hear these words a lot when you're talking to native English speakers. To have a better grasp of what they mean and how to use them, you'll want to, you guessed it, practice them regularly. But, as with any good thing, don't overuse them. Too many filler phrases are just as bad as too many pauses. As a general rule of thumb, try not to use more than one filler phrase for every couple of sentences you speak. Don't be afraid to repeat yourself. Because you're still practicing English, you may not always be sure if people really understand what you mean. In that case, just ask. Most of the time, you can make sure someone understands what you said by asking them to repeat what you said. For example, the next time you give instructions, directions, or information in English, follow it up with one of these phrases. "I want to make sure you got that. Would you mind repeating it? I'm not sure if I said that right. Can you please repeat it? Can you please run that by me so I know you got it. I'd like to be sure I'm expressing myself clearly. Could you please tell me what I've just said, so I know we're on the same page? Watch your body language. There's an English saying that goes like this: actions speak louder than words. The way you sit, hold your hands, and even where you look. All of these can add to or change the meaning of the words you say. The most important thing is to relax. Not all body language and gestures mean the same thing in different cultures, however. Here are some things to keep in mind when you're speaking in English. Avoid certain hand gestures. Showing just the middle finger with the rest of the fingers folded down is considered offensive. Making a V sign with your index and middle finger with the palm facing inward is rude in the UK, but means peace in the US. Do use your hands when you're speaking. Your hands can show many emotions. Slamming a fist, with fingers curled like a boxer's, into an open hand shows determination. Slamming an open palm or fist into a table can show anger. Keeping your hands closed and folded on your chest makes you seem cold and uninterested. Fingers can speak, too. You can make an OK sign by keeping your last 3 fingers open and making an O with your index finger and thumb. Crossed legs can mean different things. If you cross your legs toward the person you're speaking to, it shows you're listening to them. If you cross your legs away, it can show you're not interested or are distracted. Take note of the situation. Mood of the speaker and gestures. When people make certain gestures, it often reflects their mood. Watching others' body language in person can help you better understand what they mean. You can also try this exercise. Sit or stand in front of a mirror and speak. Pretend you're having a conversation with your reflection. Observe what your hands are doing and what your posture conveys. Move around, try different gestures, and see how they change the meaning of your words. Improve your speaking by writing. This may seem like a strange tip in a post about improving your English speaking skills. After all, what does writing have to do with speaking? Plenty, in fact. When you know the most natural way to express something in English on paper, that can also translate to how you express yourself in spoken conversations. Practice writing in English. Take time to collect your thoughts. Try writing a blog in English to hone your writing skills. Here's how to get started. Choose a topic. Write about anything you like, but since your goal is to practice, pick a topic you're passionate about or knowledgeable in. Set a schedule and stick to it. Decide how often you'll write. Daily, twice a week, or once every other week. Be realistic but committed. Right away, staring at a blank page can feel intimidating. To get started, set a timer for 1 to 2 minutes. Think about your topic, and then write without stopping until the timer goes off. Don't worry about vocabulary, sentence structure, or spelling at this stage. The goal is to express yourself freely, much like in a conversation. Make friends online. Do you feel shy about meeting people in person? Luckily, you don't have to leave home to find people to talk to. You can use language exchange sites like Italki, a tutoring site where you can connect with native English speakers. Polyglot Club, a community of language learners and speakers. Hello Talk, connect with English speakers via voice, text, or video chat. Tandem, similar to Hello Talk, but with a more social media-like feel. Brush up on your cultural references and political knowledge. Native English speakers often include cultural references in conversation. These references might be sayings, jokes, or ideas from popular media. For example, the meme, "Brace yourselves, winter is coming," is a reference to a quote by Ned Stark in Game of Thrones. To better understand these references, watch English TV shows and movies. Read about the politics, values, and norms of the English-speaking country you're interested in. Explore newspapers and magazines for idioms, phrases, and expressions you'll use often. Visit an English-speaking country. If you can afford it, travel to an English-speaking country. It's a great way to immerse yourself in the culture, food, shops, and daily life. While you're there, chat with native speakers. Test your accent and speaking skills. See how well you're understood. Final tip: choose your preferred methods to improve your English speaking skills from the tips above. Focus on expanding your vocabulary, correcting your pronunciation, and boosting your confidence. Most importantly, practice as much as possible.